Pinball. Isn't it satisfying to use your magic fingers to control your flipper? Playing with these balls, tilting the table in order to get into that hole and score that jackpot. We're still talking about pinball, right? You know, considering I like Sonic, you'd think I like pinball as well. Rolling around everywhere, hitting bumpers, and speeding through ramps or loops? That's pretty much Sonic to a T. Sonic itself kind of feels like if pinball was turned into a platformer. So how come I don't like pinball? It's not just me, right? It can't be just because I suck. Okay, maybe that's probably it, but I need to know why. So I figured that today I'll be going over the various pinball mechanics present throughout the Sonic series. Why? Because I felt like it. And I wanted an excuse to talk about these two games without making the video too short. Just don't ask me any questions and let me do my thing. For the record, I'll mostly be talking about levels or games that primarily focus on pinball gameplay. That means no carnivals, amusement parks, or any other zones that may share a similar theme. But before I talk about the art of pinball in Sonic, let's take a look at the fundamental feel of Sonic's control in general. Let's start with Sonic 1. This is how many people got introduced to the franchise. One of the core appeals with this game was its speed, feel, momentum, and of course, the physics. One of the keys to making a fun game is having good control. And oh boy, was he fun to control. It's thrilling to roll down a ramp to gain speed and momentum. Kind of similar to how pinball is actually played. Now this game doesn't have a dedicated pinball or casino level, but for comparison's sake, I'll be using Spring Yard Zone as an example. Just watch how satisfying it is gaining enough speed to get across here. It really feels like you really need to earn that speed, unlike other games that we'll get to later. If only Sonic 1 was like this the whole way through, instead of having these tedious zones that ruins the pace. But I digress. We have many series staples introduced here, such as these bumpers and springs that help add to the pinball-esque experience. I really love the sound design here. Listening to these fun little sound effects you get whenever you touch them is so satisfying. With the exception of these slow barrel sections, maneuvering around this level as quickly as you can is really quite exhilarating. Definitely making this one of the best levels of the game, and a nice introduction to pinball physics to come. And speaking of introductions, let's start with what I argue actually started the addition of pinball in the Sonic series, Sonic 1 for the Master System and Game Gear. You gain access to this mechanic during the bonus stages after you finish a level with over 50 rings. These bonus stages can get really hectic. You bounce around everywhere to the point where it almost feels impossible to control. We also get our first introduction to these flippers, and they feel pretty adequate, but I kind of hate how tiny they are. Granted, this was when it was first introduced, but I'm just used to better pinball physics. Overall, not a bad introduction, but feels dragged down to its limited space, making it harder to control yourself accurately. It is funny though. Sonic 2 introduced us to Casino Night Zone, our first and definitely most iconic casino level in the series. The beautiful and colorful nighttime aesthetic really sets the setting. It's so iconic that they keep on reusing this concept and this zone in particular for many years, and serves as the inspiration for dozens of levels. There's now pinball tables, launchers, and of course the slot machines added to the equation. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm sad now. There's plenty of opportunities to obtain a huge number of rings and points here, or you could be like me and lose everything. I think I have a gambling problem. The physics itself really feels similar to Sonic 1. I can easily control where I'm going in these pinball tables, but maybe that's because I'm used to it due to playing this game for pretty much my entire life. I just love the feel of moving around here. This is probably my favorite level in the game, and the addicting pinball mechanics are probably the main reason why. This definitely helped set the standard for future casino levels. And personally, I do feel like this is one of the best controlling pinball physics in the series. And then they f***ed it up in Sonic CD. What is this? Collision Chaos gave us some of the worst and most annoying hit detection in the entire series. Fitting name, I guess, but it's just a chore to control myself accurately to the point where it can get really frustrating. Using these flippers just doesn't feel right. You can easily phase through them and the physics just doesn't feel coherent whatsoever. Then they have the audacity to create an entire boss fight dedicated to it. The hardest part is just getting up there to hit Eggman, and you can easily spend several minutes trying to defeat him. I get that this game was created by a separate development team compared to Sonic 2, But come on! Not even Sonic 1 was this bad. Sure, it got better when they re-released this game years later, but this is still a far cry from Casino Night Zone. Collision Chaos can kiss my butt, I hate it. Thankfully, Sonic 3 has rectified these issues. There's no dedicated casino or pinball zone, though some of these bonus stages serves as the closest comparison. When you earn enough rings, you can gain access to these bonus stages through these checkpoints, so you can earn extra goodies. You have the option of either playing on a slot machine in a similar setting to Sonic 1's special stages, or go through a glowing sphere stage where you have to use pinball physics to try to stay alive and collect power-ups. Thankfully, the physics here share similarities to Sonic 2 as opposed to whatever this was supposed to be. Hold on, wasn't there supposed to be a game that came out before this one? Now for one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this video, Sonic Spinball. Where do I begin? This game was developed by the American branch of the Sega Technical Institute, while the Japanese were working on Sonic 3. Lucky for them. They wanted to have something for the 1993 holiday season, since Sonic 3 wasn't going to be completed in time. They figured people like Casino Night Zone, so they made a whole game out of it, drawing inspiration from another game called Pinball Dreams, in an attempt to fuse the gameplay style of Sonic with pinball. And thus, Sonic Spinball was born, and was created for the Sega Genesis, Game Gear, and Master System in the span of 2 months. That explains so much. Sonic Spinball takes place in the universe of the Sonic SatAM cartoon show, as evident by this cameo of Sally, yet Scratch from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog is here too for some reason, so which is it? Eggman decided to build a giant fortress called the Vego Fortress on top of a volcano to roboticize the animals of Mobius. The magma here fuels the facility and its pinball systems. I don't even know. He used the power of the Chaos Emeralds to help stabilize this fortress. As Sonic and Tails decide to go stop him, our blue hero falls into the abyss and gets trapped in the fortress, as Tails feels no remorse whatsoever. What a savage. It's up to Sonic to infiltrate this area, collect all of the Chaos Emeralds, and stop Eggman's evil scheme. So what's so different about this game? Well, as the title implies, the whole game plays like a game of pinball, except you have a little more control over yourself. Kind of. Okay, I'm just gonna be blunt here, I don't like this game very much. Not because I don't like pinball. My main issue here is the feel and control of the game. You know, one of the fundamental reasons on why pinball can be fun? For a game that is entirely dedicated to pinball, you'd think it would be fluid and satisfying. But no, it's a chore to play through. The game demands so much from you. You have to be really precise at times in order to proceed, and the frame rate really doesn't help. It feels so sluggish here, mostly due to the change in programming language they used for this game. There are sections where you can walk and spin dash around, but this is probably the worst that Sonic has ever controlled in a game. And I've played Secret Rings and Labyrinth, so that's saying something. It feels impossible to complete at times, and I had to resort to using save states to help me get through it. It's just disappointing. I feel like they really messed up the physics here. The game just feels less responsive and clunky. The antithesis on how pinball should feel. You had one job. This could have been a great game. Maybe if it controlled more like Sonic 2, it would have been better. But I don't know if its physics complements the level design here. You feel extra floaty, and the game is designed around that. Sure, the game is short. There's only 4 levels, but somehow it feels like it drags on forever. And the Game Gear version isn't any better. The game is downgraded even further. It's still pretty much the exact same game, except it's at a lower resolution, moves at an even slower pace, and has different music. And speaking of that, what is with this soundtrack? Especially the options theme. My ears feel like they're about to fall off. Toxic Cave sounds really good, but other than that, the rest of the soundtrack is either forgettable or just plain not good at all. Apparently, before the game was about to ship, the devs were informed that Sega didn't own the rights to the Sonic 1 main theme, since it was owned by the band Dreams Come True, so they made this theme within a couple hours. Not bad. Overall, I feel like this game is just a mess. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the concept of Spinball. It fits Sonic. I just feel like the controls weren't well implemented and fine-tuned enough. Maybe if its development wasn't rushed, it would have been improved dramatically. But in the end, I felt like this marked a sour spot in Sonic's classic era, and consider this as one of his weakest games. If you love the game, that's cool. I respect your opinion and all. It's just not for me. Guess they really dropped the ball here. Alright, now that I got that game out of the way, let's just move on. Didn't I just do this? Sonic Pocket Adventure literally retreads a lot of levels from the classics. And what do you know, the casino level is no exception. Cosmic Casino Zone is literally Casino Night Zone that uses the bonus stage music from Sonic 3. Is anything in this game original at all? You can tell that this game was made by Dimps because the physics here feel a bit off. I mean, look at the way I roll here and can't make it all the way up there, unlike Sonic 2. But regardless, I have to say, the pinball physics here are pretty good. I can actually control myself accurately. There is some wonky hit detection here and there, and it feels a bit floaty and sluggish at times, but it's definitely an improvement over this atrocity. The physics and sound effects aren't as satisfying as some of the previous games, but I like it well enough. It's just nothing to write home about, just like the actual game. Okay, now let's move on to the 3D era with Sonic Adventure. There are 2 pinball boards in Casinopolis. We have a basic Sonic-themed table that contains an upgraded slot machine, and to this day, I still don't understand how it works. Is it just me? Even when I match things up correctly, sometimes I still feel like I don't earn enough rings. Am I missing something? We also have a Knights board where we can collect and match up cards. We even get to see a cool cameo of the character itself. I love the amount of fan service here. And as for the controls, it's alright. This may be the first time that we can't actively control Sonic. Oh wait. You have to actively shake the pinball tables rather than controlling Sonic himself. Pretty much the most accurate interpretation of pinball so far. However, my main issue is that I feel like I can easily lose where Sonic is on the board. It can feel a bit sluggish at times, especially whenever you wait while watching the Knights cameo animation over and over again. I don't think the physics here feel as satisfying or easier to control as opposed to Sonic 2, but hey, anything is better than CD and Spinball. But I really do love the music here, and how you gain access to the sewers if you fail the board with less than 100 rings. It really adds a lot to the level. And most importantly, you can shower here. And Tails watches you, enthusiastically. Aw yeah. Next up we have Sonic Advance, and its Casino Paradise Zone. I really love how this zone looks. However, despite its name, it doesn't share as many similarities as previous casino levels. There are no slot machines and other classic casino aesthetics. It's more of an amusement park in the vein of Twinkle Park or Tropical Resort. So how's the pinball physics here? It feels okay, an improvement over other ones. I can actually control myself pretty well, and it's not terrible, but honestly it still doesn't feel as satisfying. You don't bounce very high, and I'm not a fan of some of these sound effects. Not to mention you need to be pretty precise to use these flippers. You can easily run over them and miss them. You don't default yourself into ball form all the time, so it can be kind of annoying. And like many other of Dimps' games, there can be a lot of annoying level design quirks. There's so many spikes and death traps galore, most of which can catch you off guard if you're not careful. Overall, the controls feel passable. However, it's still a step down over other zones that precede it. Now for the second and final game that primarily focuses on pinball, Sonic Pinball Party for the Game Boy Advance. Oh boy, here we go. To be fair, this game isn't nearly as bad as Sonic Spinball, but I just can't get into this game. But before I can get into more detail, let's talk about the story. Yup, this game has a story mode, surprisingly. Apparently Eggman has turned the animals of Casinopolis into robots, and proceeds to brainwash Sonic's friends. So Sonic has to go rescue them by competing in the Egg Cup tournament, and I give zero f***s about it. Seriously, this has to be one of the hardest things I've ever attempted. You have to compete against your friends in this tournament, and I feel like what they ask for you is insane. I tried to compete against Knuckles in the first round of the tournament, and I have to earn around 10 million points before I can proceed. 10 million points. I played around 10 minutes of this and I only got around 6 million. And I lost. They told me to keep on practicing and I got sent back to the title screen. Yeah, screw that, I'm not doing this. I'll give this game this. It feels surprisingly satisfying to play. The music is relaxing. I love the Sonic and Knights aesthetic. And it's probably the closest to actual pinball thus far. But perhaps that's my problem. This game is just pinball, and I'm terrible at pinball. This game is fine if you're just playing it casually in the arcade mode, but trying to complete the story mode is just a huge hassle, to the point where I just can't be bothered. The physics in itself is thrilling though. I love how fast-paced it is compared to the other games, but its lightweight does make it harder to control yourself due to how fast you go sometimes. Then all you keep on hearing is... Yeah, thanks for that. Glad to know my balls are safe. You can make certain events happen on the board to score a ton of points, but I rarely get them to happen unless I got it by accident. I get that this is probably a me problem. I just don't know how to play pinball very well. I admit that. I just wish there was a little more substance in here. There's just very little else to do. There are some party modes locked behind the multiplayer, which I unfortunately cannot do without a link cable, getting another Game Boy Advance, or figuring out how to do it in an emulator. There's also a Casinopolis mode where you can play some other casino games led by Cream for some reason. Imagine being gambled by a 6-year-old.
Oh, maybe next time.
You can play in this roulette where you have to aim carefully to place your bet, which I'm terrible at, and I ended up not winning anything. Got swindled by a chow. There are some other games, but you unlock them through the story mode, which I couldn't beat, so moving on. And finally, my favorite part here is the tiny chow garden, which is not pinball related and is also in Sonic Advance, so why play this game? I guess it makes sense that there is a bundle of these two games together, but guess which one I'm more likely to play? Regardless, earning rings for this mode does really make this game more replayable. If only Sega would bring the chow garden back. What are they waiting for? Overall, this game is all well and good if you normally love pinball, but as someone who quickly loses interest in it after several minutes, this game just doesn't grab me. Speaking of games that grab me, oh Sonic Heroes, you can grab me anytime. Oh wow, praising my favorite Sonic game, what a surprise. But in all seriousness, let's take a look at this game's pinball levels, Casino Park and Bingo Highway. They are entirely in 3D, and as you can see, the pinball tables here are much larger than previous installments. Slot machines, roulettes, and even the addition of bingo in these zones really makes the experience a blast. The speed, colorful environment, soundtrack, and addictive pinball mechanics has really put this zone up there as one of my favorites. However, even though I love this game and level to bits, it's not without its faults. The main complaint that many people have is how difficult it can be to control. Since I played this game pretty much my entire life, I don't mind it as much, and got accustomed to it. However, I can see why many others may struggle with it. The physics can feel pretty slippery, and it can be difficult to maneuver. You may end up just kicking the bucket. The team mechanic in this game can be either a blessing or a curse. On one hand, if you fall off the stage, you can still continue if your partners are still alive. But on the other hand, if you try to switch while they're still on the board, you may just end up backtracking quite a bit. It's not too much of an issue if that was your intention in case you missed something, such as these chips in Team Chaotix's story. But if this happens when you only just want to get to the end of the level, it can get pretty annoying. It can be a challenging level, but with enough practice, it can feel really rewarding. So if you hate this level, then you're wrong. Just get good. Sonic Rivals 2 has Neon Palace Zone. It's a really colorful level, but honestly, not one of my favorite pinball levels. It's passable, but I don't know. Something about it seems off to me. I feel like this is somewhat awkward to control. The momentum that you get from these pinball physics just doesn't have that oomph. I don't like that you can't bounce as high. The controls feel a bit slippery, and worst of all, you have a time limit to complete this zone during Sonic's story. It can be really strict, and it really doesn't help that there are many things that slow you down. For example, if you get bad luck in these slot machines, then you'll be dropped into a slower path, making it even harder to complete this on time. Definitely not the worst level in this series. It has its redeeming qualities. I love the music, environment, and its set pieces, but gameplay-wise, it's mediocre at best. Speaking of mediocre... I'm just kidding. Almost had you right there. Next we have Sonic 4 Episode 1. We all know how infamous this game was over its controversial physics. Personally, it never really bothered me. I even unironically enjoyed this game. But when it comes to pinball physics in Casino Street... why does everything feel so slow? Using the slot machines and the flippers just takes too much time. The overall fluidity just feels non-existent. And I'm not too much of a stickler when it comes to different physics, contrary to what you may be seeing in this video, but this zone is definitely a downgrade over the original. I mean, I like how you can use the jump dash to help position yourself, but it just doesn't feel as smooth. What's interesting is that this zone has a different Act 2 depending on which platform you're playing on. In the mobile port, you can play in a short slot machine level where you have to earn 100,000 points to proceed. Seriously? It doesn't take too much time, but even getting a jackpot doesn't earn you enough points. You have to be really lucky to finish this quickly. It's just tedious because of how slow everything is. The console version has an entirely new level, which is much better. But I hope you like hearing the 1-up jingle, because you collect so many cards here to net you a ton of rings and 1-ups. If you somehow get a game over in this game, then I don't know what to say. Overall, I do like this level, but it's just a shame that its pinball physics doesn't feel as satisfying compared to previous levels. Sonic Generations aimed to celebrate Sonic's biggest highlights over the years. And of course, they recreated their most iconic casino level, Casino Night Zone. In the 3DS version, the classic Sonic level is literally a carbon copy over the original. No, seriously, it's exactly 1-to-1. The main difference is how Sonic feels here compared to Sonic 2. It's not as bad as Sonic 4. I actually think they did a great job recreating it here. It's not perfect, but the fundamentals are still there. I'm not sure if I'd rather play this over the original, but it's fun to play nonetheless. The modern version of this level plays similar to the Sonic Rush games. It's pretty similar for the most part, except you can actually lock onto the flippers, and they added this cool roulette table towards the end. Overall, a great level. I just wish they put more effort into Act 1 as opposed to copying and pasting it. The console version, on the other hand, has Casino Night as a separate casino board. Unfortunately, 360 and PS3 owners only have access to this as a pre-order bonus, but you can buy it separately on Steam at a low price. But I gotta say, this was actually really fun to play. The board is so amazing. There's plenty of alternate paths. It feels amazing to control. The music is awesome, and it's so vibrant and colorful. This runs really smoothly. I mean, yeah, it can be a little too fast and hectic if you're not careful, but I just didn't care. This was so addicting. I'm confident in saying that this is my favorite variation of pinball so far. It's a shame that you can't get it on console anymore, but I do recommend that you should try this out if you own a copy of this game on Steam. Sonic Lost World has a few pinball levels as well. In the 3DS version, they shifted the casino stage to Sky Road, and it's okay, I guess. I'm not the biggest fan of how Sonic feels when he's launched, but the main detractor here is the parkour mechanics. With enough momentum, you can easily get stuck on walls. There is a double jump to help mitigate this and help you aim properly, but mastering these controls may have a really steep learning curve. I don't mind it as much, but I understand why people can be put off with this. I just don't like how much this level can drag on. The Wii U version, on the other hand, has its pinball level in Frozen Factory. The actual level itself is literally just a straight line. There's one mandatory pinball section you have to get through, and I don't like it. You have to get a certain number of points to move on to the next section, just like Sonic 4, and you can easily fail and lose a life before you know it. They don't even give you multiple balls to try. Granted, this section is short, and if you fail many times, the game will just give you a free warp to the next checkpoint. But the physics here are just difficult to manage, especially if you want to get a certain red ring later on. It's a far cry compared to Generations casino board, and this is probably the blandest casino level in the series, and that in itself is a crime. Sonic Mania didn't really put as much focus on adding pinball mechanics as you think. Mirage Saloon is the closest zone we got for a casino level. Fortunately, sharing similar physics to the previous Sonic classic games makes controlling yourself in this level really enjoyable. But the level is over before you know it. It's not very long at all. I just wish there was more to it, and it would have been nice if they cut down on that long tornado level in Act 1. But if you get Sonic Mania Plus, you can access this bonus stage in Encore mode, where they take you to a pinball level similar in the vein of Sonic Spinball. Oh boy, you can feel the excitement in my voice. Let's see what this is like. Well, that was a thing. If you didn't suck like I did, then you can gain items and characters through a claw machine just like Knuckles Chaotix. I love the callback and all, but I'm not really a fan of this bonus stage. I get what they're going for with this art style, but I still think it's kinda boring. It controls fine, but I feel like you can lose yourself really easily if you're not careful. I appreciate the reference, I just felt like they could have done much more with it. And finally, we have Sonic Forces. This game gets a bad rep due to its level design and its numerous other issues. So how did they handle their casino level? This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I actually didn't find Casino Forest that bad. The physics is not that good, don't get me wrong. Classic Sonic doesn't feel as satisfying as it felt in Sonic Generations or the classics, but personally, I still had fun with this level. I can control myself fairly well. If anything, my main complaint is that you don't really bounce or launch as high. I do like how if you don't win anything in these slot machines, they'll immediately let you retry again. The physics do feel off, and the absence of lives here makes the rings entirely pointless. But I just don't think that this is as terrible as people make it out to be. It's just middle of the road, just like the actual game. Alright, is that everything? Oh god damn it! Okay, let's see what this Tiger electronic version of Sonic Spinball can offer. My poor, poor ears. I can't see crap on this screen. Oh, this music is getting annoying really fast. Much better. I'm literally just mashing buttons. The things I do for this channel. Well, that's all of the games that I can think of that uses pinball mechanics. There are probably a few that I missed, but these are the ones that I can think of from the top of my head that I played. However, Pinball in Sonic extends to other forms of media as well. I remember that there was even a Spinball ride in Alton Towers in the UK. If I recall, this was the first time we heard Roger Craig Smith voice Sonic.
Hey there, and welcome to Sonic Spinball! I hope you're all ready for some high-speed fun!
It's safe to say that pinball played an important mark in this franchise's history. A lot of these experiences are hit and miss, though honestly, most of my negativity probably stems from how much I suck at them. It's not always the game's fault. Maybe all I need is more practice. But I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like a good chunk of Sonic games fail to capture the actual feel of pinball. Sonic Spinball and several others just don't end up fusing pinball and platforming to their fullest extent. But I certainly think it's possible to do it right. Other games such as Yoku's Island Express excellently fuses both gameplay styles in such a way that actually makes it really fun. I highly recommend this game. I really do enjoy pinball in Sonic. I'm sure we'll still see many more pinball levels for years to come. I just hope they'll nail it over time. However, all this fails in comparison to the real thing, so I decided to buy myself a real Sonic-themed pinball table. What could go wrong? This must be good. Alright, let's see what we got. Not bad. I'm gonna try to set it up right now. Here we go. Okay, that's pretty loud. This feels really cheap. It's so hard to move this ball. Now it's stuck. These sound effects are starting to get really annoying. This is still better than Sonic Spinball. Why did I buy this?